Letter of Pope Francis on the renewal of the study of church history. The memory of the whole truth. Let us recall the genealogy of Jesus narrated by St. Matthew. Nothing is simplified, erased, or invented. The Lord's genealogy consists of the true story that includes a number of figures who are problematic to say the least, and the sin of King David is also emphasized. Matthew chapter 1 verse 6. Yet, everything culminates with Mary and Christ. Matthew chapter 1 verse 16. If this took place in the history of salvation, it can likewise happen in the history of the Church. Sometimes, after a successful start, she has cause to mourn a setback, or she may linger in a state of semi-fulfilment and insufficiency. Moreover, she is by no means unaware that down through the centuries there have been among her members, both clerical and lay, some who were disloyal to the Spirit of God. Today as well, the Church is not blind to the discrepancy between the message she proclaims and the human weakness of those to whom the gospel has been entrusted. Whatever is history's judgment on these shortcomings, we can't ignore them, and we must combat them assiduously, lest they hinder the spread of the gospel. The Church also realizes how much she needs the maturing influence of centuries of past experience in order to work out her relationship to the world. A sincere and courageous study of history, then, helps the Church to understand better her relations with different peoples, and these efforts must assist in interpreting and making clear the most difficult and perplexing moments of these peoples. We must not ask people to forget. Indeed, we can't allow present and future generations to lose the memory of what happened. It is a memory that ensures and encourages the building of a more fair and fraternal future. For this reason, I insist that the Shoah should not be forgotten. Nor must we forget the atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki. And what to say, I would like just to make a remark. And what about all the other genocides? The genocide of the Tutsi, all these genocides by the German in Namibia? It's never spoken about that. I end here my short remark. Neither must we forget the persecutions, the slave trade, and the ethnic killings that continue in various countries. I would like to say, as in Palestine, above all. I continue. As well as the many other historical events that make us ashamed of our humanity. They need to be remembered always and ever anew. You must never grow accustomed or inured to them. Nowadays, it is easy to be tempted to turn the page, to say that all these things happened long ago and we should look to the future. For God's sake, no. We can never move forward without remembering the past. We do not progress without an honest and unclouded memory. I think not only of the need to remember the atrocities, but also all those who, amid such great inhumanity and corruption, retained their dignity and with gestures, small or large, chose the path of solidarity, forgiveness, and fraternity. To remember goodness is also a healthy thing. Forgiving does not mean forgetting. In the face of something that can be forgotten for any reason, we can still forgive. Together with memory, the search for historical truth is necessary to allow the Church to initiate and help initiate in society sincere and effective paths of reconciliation and social peace. Those who were fierce enemies have to speak from the stark and clear truth. They have to learn how to cultivate a penitential memory, one that can accept the past in order not to cloud the future with their own regrets, problems, and plans. Only by basing themselves on the historical truth of events will they be able to make a broad and persevering effort to understand one another and to strive for a new synthesis for the good of all. The study of church history. I would now like to add a few brief observations regarding the study of church history. The first observation concerns the risk that such study might take a pure chronological approach or that of a mistaken apologetics, which would transform the history of the Church into a mere buttress for the history of theology or spirituality of past centuries. This would be a way of studying and consequently teaching church history that does not promote that sense of history that I mentioned at the beginning. The second observation addresses the fact that church history, as it is taught throughout the world, seems to suffer from an overarching reductionism. Here, study is treated as a secondary topic within theology, resulting in a form of theology that ultimately shows itself incapable of truly entering into dialogue with the profound and existential reality of the men and women of our time. It is so because church history taught as part of theology can't be disconnected from the history of societies. The third observation takes into account the fact that, in the training of future priests, we see that their formation is still inadequate with regard to the sources. For example, students are rarely formed in how to read the fundamental texts of ancient Christianity, such as the letter to Diognetus, the Didache, or the Acts of the Martyrs. When this happens, students will be ill-equipped to read them and resort instead to ideological filters or theoretical preconceptions that do not permit a lively and stimulating understanding.